Welcome back. It's a Monday, the 21st of March, the last full week in the month of March. Now, for some, it's a rallying cry. For others, it's a call for national unity, while a few have relied on poetry to reassure themselves about living, surviving, and hoping. The UNESCO General Conference in Paris in 1999 first adopted March 21st as World Poetry Day, and this day has become a potent reminder. In a world that's increasingly troubled and violent, where is the place of poetry in healing the world?
Well, let's also tell you that our first guest is a Cameroonian born poet and spoken word artist who desires to be a voice of healing and hope to her generation. And this Monday morning, we've decided to start our top story on a soft note, of course, bringing you poetry at first. Well, she is also a trained journalist, by the way, a blogger, and of course, a content writer. She is a two-time performer at the International Slameroon Festival, and the African Cup of Slam graced the stage at the first World Splash Festival. Well, we look forward to have her join us, but please, let's also take note that joining us this morning as well, we do have a spectacular guest who is named Bash Amuneni. He is one of Nigeria's foremost performance poets. His poetry is laced in love, memory, and not forgetting to the dynamics of the human condition. Well, thank you so much for joining us as we start off on a Monday morning. Bash, it's good to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right.
For today.
Okay, good. I'm just going to go straight, like we said on the Monday morning, we want to take it lighter, softer a bit before we go straight into the thicker things. The UN, which is the United Nations, has specifically dedicated today to be Poetry Day. And how different is today, by the way, for you compared to other days? Let's start with that question first.
I mean, for us poets, we right, and it's amazing that the United Nations decided to pick a day to recognize the work of poetry, the essence of poetry for humanity. Sometimes they say poets are like the voice of humanity. We are like the conscience of humanity. And when humanity is strayed away, we poets are supposed to pull humanity back to the spot where humanity is supposed to be. We are supposed to shine the light. We're supposed
to. All right, Bash, are you still there? Okay, I think he might be having a little technical issue connecting with us, but we're still talking about Poetry Day, especially with the fact that UNESCO decided to make this day, since the year 1999, a day to celebrate poetry around the world. But we have Bash, who is back with us. Bash, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. So yeah, it's only right that the people that are supposed to be the conscious society are given a date to recognize, to be recognized, or to be recognized. So yeah, it's only proper, and the language of poetry has to continue. The spirit of poetry has to continue.
All right, Bash. We might want to ask a little favor from you, please. You might want to probably change your earpiece or something, or we could hear a feedback and a little sound, so we could enjoy this conversation this morning, and also ensure that our audience can also benefit from listening to what World Poetry Day actually means. Okay. All right, so you're back.
All right, while we have Bash, who is trying to ensure that his connectivity is at optimum service, we also have Steph, who is here with us, and she is the guest that my colleague Joe had earlier introduced on the program. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on Breakfast Central today.
Good morning.
All right, now, so quickly, can you just tell us, when it comes to poetry, today is a day that's been set aside by UNESCO, so a lot of poets have been coming out using this opportunity to harness their skills and to talk about the importance of it. Now, aside from the current situation of things, why is poetry really important in education, especially for our children, our young leaders of tomorrow?
On a personal perspective, I think, first of all, poetry serves as a voice. And if you incorporate it to the educational system to kids, I think from a young age they know how to be loud about the things they really want, to be loud about the things they want to see change in. Because when poetry gives you a voice, it gives you boldness too. So if you have the ability to talk, that means you have the ability to make things right for yourself. So it is important that at the younger age, kids get to know about poetry, so they find a voice They find a voice really young. And aside being a voice, you are enabled to feel. You're not just living this life, but you feel a lot of things around you. You connect to your community and to yourself. And I think that is one of the basic things I will wish for children growing up, because you have a lot of grown-ups, they don't know how to manage emotions. Poetry teach you that, how to manage your emotions, how to accommodate people and all that.
How do you manage your emotions and accommodate people, especially now that people are more concerned about mental health and, of course, dealing with challenges of adulthood and, most importantly, also being able to navigate through life's challenges. But let me go back to you, Bash. How has poetry actually helped Africans, especially, to be more expressive?
Um, Poetry is a language of expression first. For me, poetry starts with self-expression before it moves to any other level as it is. Um, First, as Africans, we are burdened with the challenges of the continent. We know the challenges of the continent. We know the challenges of poverty. We know the challenges of lack of education, the challenges of hunger. And as poets, what we can do with that is to tell the world that these are the issues we are facing. And poetry also helps to document history. If you go back to the poets of 1940s and the poets of 1950s and poets of 1960s, you see that they actually documented the struggles of Africa. They documented the struggle of slave trade and all of that in their poetry. They documented the poetry of the white man coming to our land and taking our lands and all of that. So it's just so important that we use poetry to tell the story of where we are and where we come from. So that's the essence of poetry, actually. And poetry has been that tool that and tell the world of the current situation of Africa.
All right, Bash. I mean, before we just let you go, because we're down to the last minute, how can we make poetry more accessible to people around the continent outside the four walls of a learning institution or a learning environment? How can we encourage more people to tap into this expressive and creative way of letting each other know how we feel?
All right, Bash. Let's. While you try to fix your sound, we still have that crackling sound in the ear. Probably it's due to your earpiece. Let's have Steph explain to us probably a little answer on that question.
So, to have poetry more accessible, I think civilization has made it easier with social media, and things we assume. I call it an assumption because that's what it is. We assume that a lot of people don't read, but a lot of people listen. That's why there is something now as spoken word poetry. So if you cannot read a book with a poem, you can listen to the poem as spoken word poetry. And I know a lot of poets, especially myself, who are making waves on social media, dropping their spoken word videos or spoken word albums. And this is written poetry that has turned into spoken word. So I think the easiest way to access poetry is through social media, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, and what have you. And you want to ask that, what about communities that don't have social media or don't have internet network and all that? People still write books. People still write book. We are here with Bash. I think Bash has a book. There is a lunatic in every town. People write books, and that can be that can you can buy the book, you can read the book, you can always be in the spirit of poetry if you have this book, or if you're constantly listening to spoken word poetry. I think easy. It's easier to get a poem now than to get a theater play or to get a prose or drama. Yes, there are more poets now. They are these script writers and all that. So poetry is very, very much accessible. You either buy the books or you listen to spoken word. Yes.
Okay, I think I should start off a career in spoken words. I think it's inborn. It's in me, by the way.
All right, Bash. I mean, in less than 60 seconds, I mean, can you share with us some verses you find profound in your journey so far? Let me start with Bash, then I move on to Steffi.
Okay, so I'll just do a very quick poem. I hope it's going to be less than 60 seconds. I titled this one Pedestrian Bridge. Can I go on?
Yes, please. Please go on.
All right. Dingy taxis squabble in frenzy. Just beneath to own the space, claim the loot, and from the window his arm is hanging loose to the left, while a drop-off just ahead yawns for lack of use. Loud chants of trips to satellite towns near, pack criers in sweat, debt, and grit. Enter with your change or lose a tooth. Article traders, merchants of cheap bras, second-hand clothes, semi-Chinatown, stolen gold, fake phones, bend down low and select your home. Beggar's Clove, a father, mother, and sons clutch a tossed notes from indifferent passers-by, heady scents of urine wafts in a sailing fistrum, dare my nostrils near the sewer crook, four females taste and chatter quick, a bridge leg is collaged with mutilated church posters, pasted with chip stars, starch that says, my pastor is more pastor than yours, my portrait is more portrait than yours. They all wink naughty at you in layers of tip pop, oppressing one another in multiple postings. Like my politician is more political than yours, and my poster is more poster than yours, and our poster is as big as our grand plans for that lonely bystander hanging by the railing beats from noon till dusk, digging his nose in wanderlust. From yesterday's wish to today's meal, his thoughts are dangling between hope and despair, a parallel's vile attempt. I am still stunned. I am God at an ill-positioned bridge and the many faces of this strange speaking. Thank you.
Ooh, that's amazing. Well done. Thank you so much, Bash, for gracing Breakfast Central this morning on World Poets Day. And sharing, I like the lines, most importantly, enter hold your change, or if not, you're a thief. Something has to do with losing a teeth or tooth or something. I mean, thank you so much once again. Thanks for being here, and have a great World Poet Day, by the way.
You too. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, so I want to say thank you to all who joined us, and hopefully in the course of today's broadcast you would have more poets join us. And you should know that poetry is one thing that we celebrate, we hold so dear, especially here in Africa.
Exactly, and that's why UNESCO decided to pick this date, because it's set to promote the creativeness of our minds, and also to unite us some way or the other. I mean, this is a good one that UNESCO has come out to do, because see, coming down the line, since 1999 till today, we're still celebrating March 21st.
That's right. So you can hang around and stay here with us on News Central. We have more poets who will be joining us in the course of the conversation. Do not forget that poetry is equally used when it comes to speaking about political situations across different borders.